yeah, that's my show in a nutshell. But it was definitely very strange making it because I didn't realise until it happened that weather events can cause flare-ups and some chronic illnesses. So there were lots and lots of people who were experiencing the same thing. But it meant that I was making this show about my experiences with chronic fatigue while going through the same symptoms often that I was trying to showcase on a stage, which was hard but helpful that I'd already, explained to my team, like my team then knew what I was feeling and how I was feeling it, which was weird, but good. Kia ora. Ko whakapuna ki te maunga, ko wairoa te awa, ko Ngāti ka hununu te iwi, ko takitimu te waka, no wairoa ahau kei pōneke tuku kāinga i nei, ko Emma Katene tuku whenua. Thanks for having me. My name's Emma. I am originally from Wairoa/Napier Ways, but now live in Pōneke. Growing up, I was a big singer. Still am, but I think that was the easiest art form to connect to at the time. So would often annoy my parents with like one-lines of songs over and over again. All my siblings can sing, yeah. Yeah. They don't. I think all of the art sort of got taken up by me. So I was a very dramatic child. So it was like quite easy to put it into a class. So I did my first drama class at high school. And then was like, I think at the time probably like, oh, this is an easy way to get some credits because it was coming naturally. But then I really enjoyed it. The first time that I was on stage was at church. I grew up very religious. And so all of my stage appearances were singing on stage. So I didn't perform on stage as an actor until way later in high school, yeah. When I can afford it, I do enjoy to move my body. I have done like lots of pole dancing in the recent past that I really want to keep up. I never did dance as a kid. I always did a sport, like hockey or netball or things like that. So it's only recently that I've like figured out how to move my body in other ways, which has made storytelling a little different as well. Pole dancing is definitely a very unexpectedly hard thing to put your body through. Like, there have been lots of moments where I was like, I didn't even know I had muscles in that part of my body. Like, what am I doing? So it's a lot of trusting yourself and a lot of stretching, which has actually been really good for a lot of different things as well. But yeah, it's intense. It's hard to perform with ease with an art form that's so hard. Like the sweat, for one, insane. Dancing is definitely more similar to acting for me, just because growing up I learnt that singing was very, bland and not for me, not for anyone else. So I find dancing is really, can be really freeing like acting can, but it also can be really terrifying like acting can. And you've got to hold yourself in a certain way, which is really similar. fear is probably the most prominent thing in the forefront of my mind, because it's probably an emotion that covers everything. The current climate of things makes me fearful for my whānau, my Māori Pacifica friends, my trans friends, all of these people who add so much to society. And also fear of the opinions and the ignorance that come along with all of those things. For example, to hear people saying that the cyclone wasn't real, I was like, bro, we had so many of my family members who live along Wairoa River, like, we put them on missing persons lists for a week, and, the stress that was up there, especially for our Māori Pacifica whānau up there, was just like, imagine getting gaslit so hard while being without power, without homes, without food, it was... So it's a lot of fear and frustration and occasionally some hopelessness, Those days where you feel like, this is the world that I live in, yeah. Growing up, I think I felt very without identity. So I think I found myself identifying with everything in a little sort of way. And I also was surrounded by people who didn't look like me and didn't act like me. So I don't think I ever sort of saw myself reflected in one singular person, which has its cons, but it also has its pros for me now, who as an artist, we have to, see little bits in everything. And so that excites me now. It was probably not very exciting before. So my father is Māori and my mum's Pākehā. So the connection to culture has always been very sort of strained, is probably the right word. So as I've become older and more aware of my challenges and how I can learn, it's been really cool to discover resources like around maramataka and ikura rituals, for example, are a really accessible way for me to feel more connected. And my dad is recently doing his journey of reconnection as well, and is studying how mātauranga can be implemented in the education system. And so that's been a great connection for me to listen to my father telling me those stories as well, which feels really special. Yeah. Journeys of rediscovery are always really strange. Like, it's a mixture of excitement and also dealing with all the other feelings of guilt and shame and all of that stuff. But I've found, like, social media really helpful. For example, there are some really cool wahine Māori that I follow on Instagram, for example, that can inform things like maramataka for me. And so that's still a journey that I'm on. Everyone's on their journeys. So I think mostly it's exciting at this point now, which is nice. A big challenge that I've been thinking of recently is all the really small sort of systemic flicks in the face that that a lot of people experience, but especially Māori and Pacifica, especially in places like education and the health system. So that's been on my mind heaps. So my show, 3 Steps Back, is about my journey with chronic fatigue. And I wanted to showcase the emotion part that is less discussed than like physical symptoms, but it's like what does that person feel like after a symptom? So yeah, that's my show in a nutshell. But it was definitely very strange making it because I didn't realise until it happened that weather events can cause flare-ups in some chronic illnesses. So there were lots and lots of people who were experiencing the same thing. But it meant that I was making this show about my experiences with chronic fatigue while going through the same symptoms often that I was trying to showcase on a stage, which was hard but helpful that I'd already, explained to my team, like my team then knew what I was feeling and how I was feeling it, which was weird, but good. On reflection, I am so glad that I chose the people that I chose. So my partner was a huge part of working with me, and that just meant that we had a shorthand in comms, especially, and she had a really great understanding of how my illness affects me. So it was easier. And on reflection, probably good to divvy out some things for other people to do. I need to get better at that. But it was a really great opportunity for me to practice my craft and hone it and develop it more.